What surprised me the most about college, it's not like high school. Your teachers are not going to like talk to you, be like, hey, you need to get your grade up. It's a lot more independent.
At college, I discovered that it can actually be a second chance. I've had a history of just being very bad at academics because of being a person with drug alcohol fetal syndrome. So I was pretty below the curve even just starting in elementary school. So I always didn't think that I could do very well academically or be intelligent at all. That's why I usually did stuff to do with the art.
Hi, my name's Sid Bradshaw. I go to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. I went to Redwood High School in the Visalia Unified School District, and I'm currently majoring in biology.
My name is Zach. I am a graduate from Visalia Unified School District.
I'm Sandra Elord. I'm a Visalia Unified graduate, and I'm currently in my second year at Fresno State.
My name's Zach McGuire. For high school, I went to Redwood High School in Visalia Unified School District.
My name is Nicole Cloutier. I'm a graduate of Visalia Unified School District, and I am currently in my second year at Fresno State.
So at UC Riverside, I'm a major in economics.
So my name is Gunnar Batchman. I graduated from Visalia Unified last year, and I'm currently going to Chico State.
As a transfer student there, I majored in chemical engineering. After that, I then transferred to Cal Poly as a chemistry student.
Going to college and realizing that it's really a matter of attention and focus and dedication to doing the work. If you really want to do well in college, you can do so. It's just about, mitigating the distractions.
My transition from college was actually a lot better than I expected.
My transition to college was actually fairly smooth. I didn't have too many hiccups because I took AP classes.
My parents always told me that it was like high school, but just a little bit more difficult.
The biggest surprise was I thought they would care less. The teachers in high school would tell you, oh, they're not going to care too much if you aren't paying attention to class or if you don't show up. That's not the case.
There definitely was a lot more workload.
The hardest part about transitioning was learning to live on your own and learning how to manage your time.
At high school, you are kind of carried by your teachers and other people around you. You're forced into social situations where you make friends, whereas at COS and at Cal Poly, you are very determined. Your grades and your social life are on your own.
Time management is very important. I actually started using planners this year, which helped a lot.
My transition to college was actually very smooth, and a part of that was just the environment that I moved into. I moved into the dorms, I got involved with a lot of people and became really close with people that kind of helped support me.
When I got to college, there was a lot of difficulty because really, there's no one there to bail you out.
The transition from high school to COS was a little rough at first, but the transition from COS to then Cal Poly went very smoothly.
I actually like college a lot better because I feel like I have a goal that I want to work towards, and it's real life. It hits you hard.
You need to seek out your professors and seek out friends and other resources like that to help you out.
High school to college, grades definitely take a bit more work. You got to put in a little more effort. But you also counter that, you have a lot more fun, so you can have your fun whenever you want and need, and then you just get down and get to grades.
So Rate My Professor is a website. You just look up a teacher from your school and you type in which school you're going to.
I actually have really good professors. Rate My Professor is important because you kind of get to have a feel before you go into the class of what the professor is like and what you're going to have to get used to.
In college, I would say everybody should know about it when coming into college because it's definitely probably one of the determining how you'll do because you want a good professor to be able to do good in your class.
At first, I didn't use Rate My Professor, but it's actually something that comes in handy. It tells you about the professors and what you're going to be getting into, if they're going to be difficult, if they're going to require a lot of work, if they're more laid back.
And it'll tell you a rating. So out of 5 stars, they can get a 5-star rating, they can get a 2-star rating, and it'll tell you if they provide extra credit, it'll tell you if they have a lot of homework in their class, it'll tell you if they are tough, grader, all types of things like that. So it's a very helpful tool.
Yeah, so when it came to my professors, I got along with them for the most part. Some classes are really big, some of them aren't great, but that's just kind of when you got to really get down to it and study, you know, and put in your time. But overall, I mean, I did go to office hours later in the semester when my grades weren't looking up.
Were some of the best people I've ever met. They were really passionate about their fields. 95% of the faculty at where I went, Fresno State, had a PhD in their subject, so it made it really exciting to work with them. At the same time, none of them will take any of the BS that your middle school or high school teachers might have taken. They're not going to take your excuses. They're not going to listen to any of your sob stories or anything, so you have to realize that right away.
Other ones were very good, and I've cultivated some good relationships with at least 3 of my professors, and I had some really deep, interesting conversations with them.
Fresno State has a lot of great professors, and a lot of them that I got to experience and take their courses. Probably what surprised me the most about professors is just how you can truly in college go through an entire class and never speak to your professor. I highly do not recommend it. However, it is possible. You do not have that closeness with your professor unless you establish it yourself.
I had some really great professors at Fresno State. One of them in particular was my public speaking professor. He was very apt in getting us all engaged no matter how terrified you were at public speaking. Me personally, I love public speaking, so it wasn't a hard class for me, but he was able to incorporate our different levels. And then I did soil judging at Fresno State this past year, and Professor Dr. Guru, he was actually really amazing at getting us entry level. We weren't entirely sure what these microbials were or what is in this soil that we're supposed to know, but he took the time outside of the classroom, out of our scheduled practices, to work with us, go over review, and they are really engaged in your learning. They just want you to succeed. They want you to come to the field that they're passionate about, and they want you to get excited about it as well.
My professors they're all very similar. They're all very set in their ways. They had their routines. They had their set ways of teaching. They're always right. I think that's one thing about professors. They're always right. No other opinions really matter. And if your opinion is contrary to them, they will find some way or another to refute you. But there was and those were professors in my larger classes. My smaller classes, our professors they're always more helpful. They're always willing to establish a relationship with their students in order to better help them. Like, I spent a lot of time with my writing teacher. She always helped me with my writing after class, or we'd set up meetings. She'd judge my writing. She'd give me positive feedback, what I could do to be better.
My professors at COS, most of them were very relaxed because it is a community college, and they were more focused on just getting in and out. I did have one particular professor, an engineering professor and physics professor, that really stuck to me and guided me through the whole process of going from high school to a community college, then to transfer to a university. And he even gave me a job for a year just so that way I could make ends meet and pay for community college. My professors at Cal Poly, it's a lot to do with the learning style that is at Cal Poly. Our slogan is learn by doing. So the professors are very engaged on hands-on and making sure that you have every opportunity to get your hands on the material instead of just teaching, going for their projects, and then going home. The most surprising thing to me about college was that the professors really were there to teach and get you to learn things, but they weren't going to carry you. So if you didn't turn in a homework assignment, that's on you, oh well. But they do care that you learn the material. So you can go in and ask them questions after hours or make appointments and things like that to relearn information, but if you choose not to do assignments or tests, it's on you and there's no turn back from that.
I thought about coming home after my second semester, because after my winter semester was pretty tough. It made me realize that I needed to try harder in order to be successful, and I didn't try nearly hard enough my winter semester. But I realized that after my winter semester, I can do better, and it was a reality check, and I didn't like the reality check. But now I'm going back for fall semester. I'm more prepared for it this time around mentally.
Professors were always very accessible with their office hours. All professors at my school were required to have at least 3 office hours a week.
I used to rate my professors, so my professors were honestly amazing. They were the best. I'm so glad, because you hear horror stories about some professors that, you can't get an A in their class, but my professors, they offered extra credit. Their office hours, they were available like most of the time, so if I had any questions, they were very helpful.
One of my ethnic studies teachers, she was super sweet. We talked about what I wanted to do with my future. She actually got me in with so I can shadow a lawyer, which was really, really nice. So if you build relationships with your professors, or just try to talk to them, it's really important. It could get you somewhere. I mean, I got to a lawyer, so if you talk to them, that's really good.
Professors are pretty good with office hours. The more you get to know them, the more they're going to help you. I actually don't have roommates. I live by myself, so that's a whole other monster on its own, because I have to figure out how to do everything on my own. I don't really have people to lean onto. I don't have that little support system. At least it was harder for me to find that. I found that once I did things outside of school, or when I found another community that was able to help me out, that's where I kind of got my friends, roommates, whatever you want to call them.
Moving into the dorms and getting involved, there were a ton of people around me who were just like me and only maybe knew 1 or 2 people, but we were all in the same situation. We were all adjusting together, and that brought us all closer because of that. Now I have so many more friends.
Transition process, or why it wasn't smooth at the beginning with my roommates, was because you don't know these people. You're suddenly just living with random people, because as a transfer student, you don't get to select your roommates at Cal Poly.
My first roommate was really quiet, but he liked cameras and I liked cameras, so we got along pretty well.
So it was a little rough at first, just getting used to different lifestyles and different things that people do, but after a while you learn just to accept people the way they are and adjust yourself.
My 2 roommates were pretty quiet. One of his name was Kevin. He was pretty cool, so we eventually bonded together and became friends. Our other guy named James never really talked to us, so he was very courteous, though they were pretty quiet. The guys next to us were frat guys, though, so
My experience with my roommate was actually very pleasant. I actually had no idea who my roommate was coming in. I knew who she was. We had chatted a little bit over text, but I had never met her face to face. Our first time meeting was moving our stuff into our room, but thankfully she was a really sweet girl. We really bonded over a lot of things, and we really became best friends, which I know is not, the norm, but there actually are very few situations that I've even heard of talking to my friends where their roommates and them cannot get along at all. That's actually, I know a lot of people are afraid they're not going to get along with their roommates. That's generally not the case if you are just willing to be open and understand the situation. Even with my roommate, even though we got along so well, she was on the water polo team, so she was up super early every morning and in bed early every night because of it, and we had to, adjust to the fact that I had to be okay with the fact her alarm was going off at 6 every morning, and she had to be okay with the fact that I wasn't always going to come home and be in bed at 10 p.m. at the same time, as she was, and so we just had to be open to that idea, but also respectful of each other's time and of each other's property and place. But if you're willing to work with your roommate, you can get along with pretty much anyone, at least, be civil with them.
So I got really lucky with my roommate. She actually went to Clovis JC. She was a history major and she's extremely nice. I actually had one roommate and there was a hiccup and we couldn't figure out who would get what room, and she ended up ditching out. So this other roommate came in and she's very clean, organized. We got along very well, same music type. We loved the same shows, so it was a very healthy, very relaxed environment in my apartment.
My roommates at Cal Poly were really amazing. I got put into a good group that was balanced between business majors, an engineering major, and a math major. So we were very cohesive in that we all had like-mindedness for the science and math, and everything went kind of smooth not at first, but after a while, because you do have to get used to each other's mannerisms.
Well, I lived alone, so I discovered that I could live alone, and sleep alone and not be scared. I think I did become a little more independent. I got my first job. Like I said, I lived alone. I actually fell asleep on the first night and I slept through the whole night, and I didn't really have a problem with being alone. Just like, again, time management. I got a lot better at time management. I was better at like going to work on time, doing my schoolwork, and managing that all at once. I mean, I was pretty busy in high school, but I think I definitely did a lot better with time management in college.
I go to college at Sequoia, so of course it's very close to home. I used to go to Redwood High School. So my roommates is my mom and my sister. So it's a 10-minute drive from school every morning. So that's really fun that I get to sleep in a little more than other people who are commuting from like Porterville or Reedley or wherever they're coming from. So I really like that because I feel like since I'm still at home, it's not like I have to pay rent or anything like that, so it gives me time to work and save up money at the same time as going to school. And then I also get financial aid, which is really helpful. I can save that as well for like when I transfer and use it for like books or anything I need like that. So that's like my living situation right now.
So my roommate situation, I got some stories about that. My roommate was an interesting guy. He put me through the ringer a lot. I had 3 people living in a 2-person bedroom, pretty much big enough for 1 person, but we had 3 people living there. His friend the whole year. He wasn't the best roommate, but we had a good time together. And would I room again with him? Absolutely not. Will I catch up with him? Probably.
There was a point where I thought about giving up, but that didn't mean that I wanted to go back home, because I liked the freedom that I had, and I didn't want to go back to being in a house where I had rules where I couldn't do anything on my own. So I did want to give up. I did want to try something new, but I didn't. I stuck with it. I kind of just rolled with the punches and let everything work itself out.
To go back, I did have some tough points being there because there was some amount of isolation because I didn't really have any friends or anything like that, and I'm really slow to assimilate to that sort of thing. But I think it's rough for everybody going in at first, especially if they don't have people that they know in the beginning. But if you just get to know people and you talk to people and you talk to your professors and stuff like that, maybe you have a job or something, you start to fit in and it feels just fine.
Was there a time when I thought about going home and just not coming back?
Coming back second semester, the excitement of college, the newness had kind of worn off, and some of my classes were getting harder, and so getting the motivation to return was, a little bit less exciting. I wasn't quite as ready to go back and get going.
And whenever I felt bad or kind of a little depressed, just went out and treated myself to dinner or hung out with some friends or something, or go to the gym. Just find stuff to do, because there's a lot to do. You just have to go out and find it.
A point where I was very down on myself and ready to give up was a point actually in high school where I had gotten a lot of rejection letters from the big name universities that I was always expected to go to. And the reason I got past that was I went to my high school counselor then, and she really helped me push through and made me realize that there was another option just besides big name universities. You can go to your community college for a couple of years and then try again.
If there was a point where I thought of giving up, there really wasn't. I was going to school in Fullerton, but I'm coming back home, and I think a lot of people are always nervous about thinking that that's kind of like giving up. I know I have a couple of friends that are coming back also, and it's not anything bad if you are having a rough time, if you don't like your choice. I think it's really important to know that you're still going to be going to school. If you do come back home, even if you decide to take a year off, you're always entitled to that, and it's important to do what you think is best for you.
I never really thought about quitting or moving home because I really enjoyed my college experience pretty thoroughly. There was times where I would want to settle and maybe get a B or even a C in a class instead of getting that A. But a lot of times when you make friends with people in your classes and through other activities, they are really a huge motivating factor.
I found that changing my study habits helped me. Fresno State website helps me the most.
Being a part of the research lab here for their site department this next quarter, so that'll be very interesting. I'm super stoked for that.
So the first semester, I got involved with club water polo because I played for 4 years in high school, and that was probably the best decision I made my freshman year.
The activities I got involved in at COS were anything from tutoring in the Mesa Center or AEW workshops.
Because I met so many more cool people and a bunch more memories, and I wouldn't trade that group or those memories for anything.
Actually, they have like stuff on there for everything, whether it's like other colleges, how to transfer, how to look at your grades, how to reach out to different resources as far as like finances or administration or studying abroad. Everything is on the website.
Having a mentor in college is super important, someone that you can go to, be checking in with, making sure that you're on the right track, whether that's a counselor, the director of a program that you're in, something like that, someone who's willing to keep you on track.
Just gotta model after people that you like and think are pretty cool. And there are a lot of those people.
Over a variety of the courses that you're taking, making sure that you kind of know where you're going, exposing you to new opportunities, encouraging you through things when times get hard. And that can be, you know, a counselor. There's so many different places that that mentor can come from. One of the most important mentors that I found was actually fellow students, older students who had gone through classes, who were in the same program as me and had all of these experiences already, seemed actually to be one of the most important mentors that I had a chance to talk to, because they were literally in my position a couple of years before. They were experiencing it on the same level that I was experiencing it, and they could give me a lot of advice that I really took to heart and really helped me a lot during the school year.
And then once you get to your school, you're going to meet professors that are in your perspective field, and you can ask them questions, ask them about internships, and having someone that you can go to when you have questions not only in your classes, but maybe you're having problems with your roommates, or you really want to go to this leadership event and you don't know how to fill out the application. They're always there to help you.
The importance of a mentor is immense. It can be anything from just helping you in your emotional mental state while you're in college, which is very underestimated currently. But it could also be things where you go to that professor and have a mentor in what the field is, whether you're thinking about engineering, chemistry, biology, English, plant science. There's so many specificities in all of those majors that you don't even realize when you're going into it. And a mentor can help you find what you want to do specifically instead of just this broad category that you're going into.
I discovered that I can study if I really want to. I discovered that I can have a lot of fun if I want to. I discovered that I'm a lot more social than I thought I was.
I discovered about myself that if I really want to work hard towards something, that I have to put aside the extra time. I have to focus on it and make it happen. Because in the writing centers run by a bunch of English majors that have all had their own experience writing, you know, when you have your 10-page paper, it's pretty easy to go in there and they give you feedback that might help you and extra resources if you're writing a research paper. I was in 2 plays, and those 2 plays really made me realize how much effort it takes to make something out in the world. Because our first play, it was required by the class, but it was put together by people not inside the class. We all came together, and we were all focusing on one common goal. It made me realize that when you're in a group together with a bunch of people that are working towards something, that you can actually accomplish something that's really good. Meanwhile, my other play was for the class, but it was put on by people in groups in the class, from the class. You know, we're all introductory kind of kids, but we all just kind of wanted to get the grade. So there's a clean difference. There's a very clear difference between the first play and then the second play. One was really good and one was mediocre at best.
One of the things I discovered about myself in college was how social I actually am, because in high school I kind of had my group of friends that I stuck to, and I kind of liked that, but like I said, at college, there are people around all the time, and I found that I like loved it. So whenever I would come home and there was like not people all over the place all the time, I was kind of shocked by how much I missed that, because I'd always kind of considered myself a bit more of an introvert. But I also kind of had to learn how to say no and how to not go out and have fun with my friends every time that they were going to dinner or, you know, to grab coffee. That I did have to learn how to manage my time and manage having people around me all the time and what I needed to focus on and really get done, but also have a lot of fun, because that's an important part of college as well.
I discovered how immensely independent I am. My parents were always there to help me through everything, but when you go to college, you don't really have them sitting there waiting for you to trip and, you know, pick you up. You have to pick yourself up. So I learned that I'm extremely independent. I love being on my own. I love going through these hardships, not trying to figure it out, instead of going directly to my mom, like, this just happened, can you help me? I have to step back, look at the whole situation, assess it, and do it on my own. So I absolutely love learning that about myself.
What I discovered about myself in college is that I'm a very blunt person, and that sometimes I do need to tone that down in order to make a situation work, not just get my opinion across. I also realized that I'm also a very hands-on person. In high school, I was very much so head in the books kind of person, but when I got to COS and then into Cal Poly, I realized that the times I enjoy most are when I'm in the lab or when I'm doing something with my hands.
So what did I discover about myself in college? I discovered that I was a lot more independent than I thought. I was able to live on my own, and I was able to get my first job and kind of be there on time. Again, time management was something that I learned to do a little bit better. I juggled school, work, and family kind of all at once. And
since I work here at the Welcome Center at College of Sequoias, I'm really involved in the fairs that they have on campus. Like, I'll be working them most of the time, so it's really fun to get to see all the events going on here. We have the transfer and career fair that we have, and that's really cool because all of the colleges come here to College of Sequoias, and you can see all the different kinds, talk to them about it. They give you like tips, they give you like flyers and things like that. We also have like fun fairs all the time. Like, we had a Halloween fair, and that was so much fun because I actually dressed up. There was a contest, so it was cool to see everybody's costumes here on campus. We have fun fairs too. We had like a Cinco de Mayo one and all sorts of different ones like that.
Before I started college my freshman year, I wish I would have known that it was going to require me to be a little bit more outgoing, that I was going to have to reach out to people, that I was going to have to get out of my comfort zone. I was very used to school being easy, that I didn't have to try very hard. And now that I'm in college, it required me to grow a lot more and be more mature and an adult.
All right, there's one thing I wish I would have known going into freshman year of college. I'd say without a doubt, it is definitely, and this is a very vital piece of information for anybody going to Chico State. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Remember this, please. Thursday through Saturday night, 10 to 3 a.m., pizza at Frankie's is $2 a slice, and trust me, you will need it. All right, there's one thing I wish I would have known going into freshman year of college. I'd say without a doubt, it is definitely, and this is a very vital piece of information for anybody going to Chico State. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Remember this, please. Thursday through Saturday night, 10 to 3 a.m., pizza at Frankie's is $2 a slice, and trust me, you will need it.
I wish I would have known going into my freshman year the importance of knowing how to use a map. I am not the best with directions, so if you can print out your map of your campus, go over it, where are your classes, which buildings, and which rooms in particular. You may think like, oh, this classroom is probably going to be on the second level and it might be on the third. Definitely go through ahead of time and find your classes and find all those resources, because it's going to be so helpful once you get on campus and start your classes.
Perfect. Good job.
I think it motivated me a lot to do a lot better, and especially because it's classes that you're wanting to take. And what's good about college as well is that independent really helps you grow as a person and into an adult. My professors were like really like intrigued in their subject. Like you could tell they love teaching and it made you love learning it.
My professors in helping you out. I was involved in a lot of activities at Fresno State. I was part of the Campus Involvement Ambassadors. I was part of ASI, which is the student government. I was on the Council of President's Scholars for the Smith Camp Family Honors College, which planned a lot of community service events and social events for the people in our honors college.
Some of the activities that I got involved with this semester include the Plant Health Club. So this was really great because I got some insight on internships and what opportunities I have within our field. I also got involved into the Ag Ambassadors program. So if any of you guys were involved in FFA or 4-H or love agriculture in general, it's a really great program so you can help incoming freshmen or high school students maneuver around the ag department and around our ag field areas and learn more about the campus. I was also lucky enough to be invited to our Ag Honors Fraternity Alpha Zeta, and through that we get to do lots of leadership activities, volunteer service. I've met a lot of really great people through it, and my next year roommate is actually one of the members that I got to meet through that.
On top of that, I was also part of Alternative Spring Break, so for 2 years I was part of that, and we went to various places throughout Fresno to serve needy communities. And so there really are a variety of activities you can get involved in. There's so many different communities of people that have similar interests to you, or people that can really expand your interests and get you out of your box and show you something new. And so really take advantage of all the variety of opportunities at your college. The resources on campus that helped me the most, well, for one thing, the food court at Fresno State always got me through some pretty tough times. Whenever I was just lethargic going through the day, it always saved me. But in all seriousness, the library was a great spot. It had tutoring services, it had really quiet spaces to learn, but also collaborative spaces where you could talk with friends and study and that kind of thing, as well as just literally millions of books.
I probably say the other resource on campus that was very good was probably the at UCR they have free therapy there if you're having a hard time, and for me that was very. I went like 2 or 3 times and then I stopped, but for how I was feeling, it was very good to just go in and talk to somebody who was trained in these sort of situations. So that really helped a lot to just kind of talk about what was going on for me and everything, and just have somebody help you through that sort of a thing. So I'd say the therapy centers or the psychological services on campus can be a very good resource if you're not feeling 100%.
What did you discover about yourself at college?
At college, I discovered that maybe sexuality is a spectrum, and that a man's asshole doesn't look that bad if it has whipped cream on it.
Okay, let's try that again. What else did you discover that I could put in the video?
Well,
Oh my god.
the resources that probably helped me the most, probably number one would be the library. I mean, their library is great at UC Riverside. It's got like 3 floors, and 2 of the floors are essentially silent floors. It didn't always work out that way. Somehow I always would sit next to somebody in the library and they'd be playing like Gucci Gang in their headphones, and you could like slightly hear it, so it was a little bit annoying. But overall, the library was a very good resource. Another very good resource for me, I didn't do too much of the tutoring stuff like papers or math. I mainly did that stuff on my own online. So that's a good thing for people to remember, is that you don't necessarily have to go to the resources on campus, like the writing or the math, but if you can, that's probably a very good idea, because getting that one-on-one is very important. But there are a lot of resources online, so if you're a little shy and you don't really want to talk to people, or you don't feel like the resource center is right for you, there's a ton of options online for people helping you through things. You always talk to friends, have them read your essays, stuff like that.
The resource on campus that helped me most was the library. It's 4 stories, I think, so there's plenty of room to have quiet time to study, and you could plug in your laptop. What I did in between classes, my first semester I had a 3-hour break, so instead of going back to my apartment and sitting down and watching Netflix, I went to the library, and it was quiet, and I was able to have my laptop, charge it, free Wi-Fi, sit there, work on my homework. And downstairs was the tutor center. It's completely free. You can go in, just bring your ID, and you check in because they want to know who's coming in for what classes. And there's always somebody there to answer your questions, whether it's homework or a practice test, or you just learned something in class and you want to go over your notes. The library is a great resource to use. Go up and down those stairs as much as possible.
I actually use the library a lot. I kind of commuted from Fullerton, and I didn't live in Fullerton, so I live somewhere down south, but I commuted a lot. So I had, like, between gaps I had in my class, I'd go to the library with a few friends, and it kind of did help. It gave us a space where you could study or just talk quietly, but you could talk. They also have, I don't know if they have it here, but you could rent out rooms where you can just like study together and kind of have more private place if you think your home or like wherever you're staying at isn't a good option. They do have rooms available that you could rent out for yourself, which is really helpful. A lot of people do like that. I like the cafeteria. It saved me a lot of times since I was hungry, and it's kind of, you forget to eat. So you're just like, oh my gosh, I gotta go grab a snack, or the vending machines too. Try to keep it healthy. But I think those were really helpful.
Professors' office hours were a great resource in getting me through. Friends and study groups were a great resource in getting me through. So really create a variety of resources for yourself so that you have many safety nets to fall in when you're struggling.
Any advice that I give to somebody going into college would be don't give up even if it gets hard. Push through it. C's get degrees. That is what one of my English teachers always told me. If you want to shoot for better, you can shoot for better. And also, if you ever think that you're not at the right place or feel like you need a break or even to come home, that's okay. I don't think there's a lot of people associate it with shame or like, again, like I said, giving up, but it's not giving up. It's just finding what's right for you. It'll save money too. I bet your family will be excited that you're coming back home. I know mine are. You get to stay with friends, you get a little bit more familiar, you get more maturity. You kind of get a feel for things in a different environment when you're more comfortable with. And so, I blanked.
Hey, yo, Adrian.
All right, if I could give any advice for incoming freshmen to college, and that would be to manage your time wisely, because you want to make sure you have fun, but you don't want to have too much fun, because you have to set time aside to study, because if you don't study, you're not going to do well in your classes. I can guarantee you. The lights, the dramatic lights. All right, if I could give any advice to new freshmen that are just going in to be if I can give any advice to incoming freshmen at college, and that would be to manage your time wisely, because you don't want to have too much fun. You want to have fun, but you don't want to have too much fun, because if you have too much fun, then your time, man, I don't know why I can't.
If you have too much fun, you're fucked.
Oh man, I'm not good at improv like Zach is.
Organize your time well. Don't mess around too much. Just try to focus on what's important. This is Sid Bradshaw. Make sure you wipe. Practical advice.
Okay. All right, if I could give any advice to incoming freshmen that are just going into their first year of college, that would be to make sure you manage your time wisely, because if you don't manage your time wisely, you will slip up and you will not get the grades you want in class. I can guarantee you that. I have friends that did that their first year. Man, it just does not sound good to me. I'll prove it to you. All right, if I could give any advice to new... one more chance.
If I could take the day after pill.
If I could give any advice to incoming freshmen for their first year of college, it would be to manage your time wisely. Because you need to have fun, or else you'll go crazy. But you don't want to have too much fun, because you'll start to fail your classes. And that's something you don't want to do. Because you're paying for college, you need to pass your classes, and then in order to get where you want to go ultimately in life.
So I never had a moment where I wanted to go back home. I've always been taught whenever there's a struggle, you always push past it, because no matter how hard something seems right now, it's going to get easier. There was a week where I had 5 or 6 tests. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? It's going to be absolutely insane. But instead of freaking out and thinking, well, maybe this is too much for me. Took a step back, got out my calendar, some color coordinated pens, and took it head on.
I realized that I really did have to put hard work into things to achieve what I wanted to achieve. But another thing that really surprised me was how varied interests I developed over the time, over the 4 years that I was in college. I never thought that I would take like a computer science class or a linguistics class or an abnormal psychology class or a gerontology class. And so it really excited me to take things in a variety of fields outside of my major, which was music, and discover all sorts of different, sub-passions, so to speak, that I could explore different fields.
So I actually a lot of stuff went on with my family this year, which is why I decided to come back. I really liked Fullerton. It was just a little, like, a lot was going on, which is why I decided to come back home. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It was also, I'll be saving money, so that's another factor in there. I did like going to school in Fullerton though. So I will just be doing 1 year here at COS now. Hopefully I am taking summer school classes, which is also kind of putting me ahead. And after that I will hopefully be transferring back, but instead of going to a CSU, I'll be going to a UC.
One thing I got used to because of my lifestyle is I wasn't used to going out and partying all the time. My roommates were, so they did that every once in a while. And while I was invited, they didn't tell me I had to or they didn't force me to. Honestly, most of the time they actually offered to give me dinner if I would just drive them down to the bars and either give me food or soda or something just to pay me back for being their designated driver. Going into my freshman year at college, I really wish I knew how much fun I was going to have with the different people I would meet. Even just having 12-hour study sessions at Denny's, it's incredibly fun. You would never think of it, having your head between a book with a bunch of people, but going to Denny's for a long period of time just to be with people is something I never would have expected.
Okay. You're off the bookstore.
Sweet.
Sweet.
I have a couple different professors that I work with.
Kind of. Like, the director of our honors college is kind of like, one thing that I wish I knew going into my freshman year of college was how to park, because I know how to park. Of course, I knew how before, but I was always very nervous about parking next to other cars, so I would always, in a store parking lot, go park, as far away from other people. But in college parking lots, they're busy, and you gotta grab whatever spot you can get. So I had to become much more confident in my skills of parking between with two cars on either side of me. So that's definitely something I could have practiced.
Probably the most important thing is that you can really achieve anything at the college that you're going to, just as long as you put in the work and effort and you do things effectively, I'd say.